just really appreciate it. I'm going to share some, later on in the program, we're going to have a section, some time allotted where people can come up and share any memories they might want about sharing with Vickie and stuff. So I'm going to talk a little during that and everything. But to start things off right now, I'd like to start off with an opening prayer, and I'd like to invite my brother-in-law, Arlen Pendleton. He's married to my little sister, Wendy, to come up and give us the opening prayer.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, as we come before thee, Lord, we give thanks for the opportunity that we have to be here this day to pay our last and final respects and give honor to this wonderful soul who has gone back to thee. We are grateful for Vickie and the light that she has brought into our lives. We're grateful for being able to have her in our lives and feel her spirit, for the wonderful mother and wife and friend that she has been to so many. Lord, we at this time ask thy blessing be upon us. Comfort us with thy hand. Help us to overcome our grief and sorrow at this time. We ask thy blessings be upon us to return us home safely to our homes. And Lord, we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, we're going to start things off with the reading of the obituary. We'd like to invite Vickie's granddaughter, Caitlin Goodfellow, to come up and do that.
Kofoed, beloved wife, mother, grandmother, sister, passed away peacefully in her home in Salt Lake City, Utah. Close it. Okay. Passed after a courageous battle with cancer. She was 69. Born to Fred and Betty Hempler in Santa Clara, California, she was the second of 3 daughters, Cindy and Debbie. She had a wonderful childhood and spent many happy days at the beach with her friends and family. Vickie attended Blackford High School and after graduation married John Cameron, and together with their daughter Tracy, they moved to Utah, remaining in the area ever since. She was an amazing mom and best friend to her daughter. Later, she would enjoy any opportunity she got to spoil her grandchildren, Connor, Cole, and Caitlin, whom she adored. Vickie worked in the healthcare field for most of her career, even going back to college and receiving her bachelor's degree at 46. For the last few years, she worked her most favorite job, an elf for the USPS Operation Santa project. She enjoyed reading letters from children all over the country and helping them receive their Christmas wishes. Later in life, Vickie found love again and married Preston Kofoed, with whom she spent 25 years with. Together they were able to travel, share their love of music, and cheer on Raiders football. Vickie is survived by her husband Preston, daughter Tracy, and her grandchildren Connor, Cole, and Caitlin, and her sister Cindy. She is preceded in death by her parents and her sister Debbie. Vickie's warmth, kindness, and zest for life touched all who knew her. She will be remembered for her compassionate heart, her infectious laughter and sarcasm, and her unwavering strength in the face of adversity.
Okay, and now we're going to do a musical number. I'm joined by Grady Gerard, Jeff Hubbard, Johnny Kennicott, and myself. stage fright. I've been doing this kind of stuff for 60 years, but today is really hard. Okay, and now we're going to invite Tracy's daughter, Vickie's daughter, Tracy, to come up and give a little bit of talk about her life story here. So, come on up, Tracy.
I'd like to start with what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my family. We are a small but tight group. Their love and support over the last few weeks mean the world to me, and I couldn't have survived this without them. Thank you. I'm also grateful that this room is filled with so many people that knew and cared for my mom. Seeing the tremendous love and support here for my mom and my family is humbling and inspiring. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. Sure. It means a lot. Admittedly, this is a very emotional and challenging time for me. I've struggled to understand and accept the situation. Losing your mom is a deeply painful experience. It comes with a hurricane of emotions, processing, and reflection. I don't know how you can summarize or speak to an entire life. So today I will speak of a few things, and I hope that you come away with an appreciation for what an incredible woman she was. We endured many challenges together, but somehow it all worked. It worked because we were not alone. We had each other. Our togetherness enabled us to navigate the constant change and to conquer the challenges. It gave us an invincible strength. That strength endures. It's with me today. My mom was born the second of 3 daughters and liked to say that she was a classic middle child. She took this to mean that she was rebellious. Growing up in Northern California, her entire family were fans of the San Francisco 49ers. So of course my mom was a fan of the Oakland Raiders. Even after the team moved, she remained a loyal fan. She skipped most of her high school days and spent them at the beach in Santa Cruz. My mom was a quintessential California hippie and embraced all that lifestyle had to offer. Wherever your imagination goes when I say that, it was probably true of her. I like to think that my mom had other traits of a middle child: independence, confidence, and loyalty. These are the traits that she taught me in my life. When I reflect on my childhood, my mom's presence was the only consistency. I don't have any siblings, and while my dad was with us, my mom at a young age was the one who took care of me, made sure we had somewhere to live and had food to eat. This was something that as a child I didn't realize, and I don't know that I ever got the chance to thank her for that. She always made sure that I had what I wanted and needed, always cheering me on. My childhood was spent getting up in the dark every weekend and traveling to various swim meets across Utah and sometimes in other states. She was my biggest fan and never complained about the early days and many miles. She was also such a cool mom, honestly, not like any of my friends' moms. She loved rock and roll, she swore a lot, and she let me watch R-rated movies long before I should have been. Although she drew the line at Scarface, I wasn't allowed to watch that movie until I was in high school. She took me to my first concert when I was 15. We saw Kenny Loggins at the Huntsman Center. Maybe this started my lifelong love of going to concerts, which I've continued with my daughter. I was loved unconditionally and trusted to make my own decisions and make my own mistakes. Unlike my mom, I wasn't very rebellious. I never wanted to disappoint her or make her life any harder. As I grew older, our relationship changed, becoming friends rather than mother and child. She was my best friend. When my parents divorced, it really was just us. Living in an apartment, we were the best roommates, sharing clothes, shopping way too much, and spending the nights watching either a murder mystery or mob movie. Most of our waking hours outside of school and work were spent together. After I graduated high school, she encouraged me to go to college and did all that she could to make sure I succeeded. Her telling me that if I wasn't going to go to college, I'd have to pay rent might have helped a bit. While I was beginning my adult life, she was starting hers over. She was able to purchase a house on her own and went back to college in her 40s and received her bachelor's degree. After being in college in my 20s, I can't imagine how scary and difficult it was to be in college at that time in her life. After I got married, my husband moved into her house, and the three of us had the best times. We stayed for about a year, and I think that my husband was more upset when we moved out than I was. I was really worried about leaving my mom. At 42, she really was alone for the first time in her life. Within a few years, she would meet Preston, and they would spend the next 25 years together. It meant so much to me that she wasn't alone, and she was happy again. During those years, I had my 3 kids. Connor was the first, and he was her little buddy. With my next son, Cole, my mom felt like he was her kindred spirit, a middle child to match her attitude and everything. My daughter, Caitlin, came next, and now we had a new best friend to add to our group. My mom was such a fun grandma. She was still young and could keep up with them and relate to them. Always interested in what they were doing and encouraging them, attending as many baseball, football games, and dance recitals as she could. She was the type to always bring a gift or a treat when she came to visit or went on vacation. And of course, as a mom, I was constantly telling her to stop spoiling my kids. I will miss her treats. In the end, my mom never stopped being my mom. She tried to shield me from the pain, not wanting me to have her watch her suffer. I can't fault her for that. A mother's instinct to protect their children never goes away. I learned my best traits from her. We are so much alike, it hurts to think about right now. Every adversity that was thrown at her, she managed to overcome, and I was so proud of her. Sadly, this last challenge in her life was too much for her. I would like to thank Preston for taking such good care of her, especially at the end. It wasn't easy, and he never gave up on her. And to Preston's kids and grandkids that welcomed my mom into their family, thanks to all of you for loving her. As I wrap up, I'd like to share a few thoughts on death and how we can all move forward. After all, death is the reason we are here today. Our friend and my mom, Vickie Kofoed, has passed. This is a reality that we will all need to process. Most of us prefer to ignore that one day we will no longer be here. It can be scary. No one wants to die. But our time here is limited. One day we will no longer be here. While you're here, focus on the important things. Never waste an opportunity to spend time with your family and friends. Return the text or call that they send. Tell them that you love them. I know that we hear this a lot. Please take this to heart. Time can be taken away from you at any time. Circumstances like these that allow us to step back from the day-to-day noise and reflect. I reflect daily on my mom's passing. When I wake up, it's the first thing on my mind. During the day, there are infinite reminders. When I go to sleep, it's the last thing I think of. While it is hard to have these thoughts right now, one day I will welcome them. Of course, I'm going to miss her. How could I not? It's my mom. But I know she will always be with me and in my heart. For that, I am deeply grateful. Thanks, Mom.
Okay, we're going to do another musical number here, so come on up, guys. to open up the time to do some memories of Vickie. I'm going to start things off. Well, I actually met Vickie when my band was playing out at a place down the road here called Club 90. She was there with a group of her friends. It was her best friend Connie's birthday, and I had just got my wireless bass set up on my big bass, so I wandered around in the crowd while we were playing. Saw this group of people with balloons, happy birthday, this, that, and the other. So I went over to ask whose birthday it was. Connie started to raise her hand to say something, and Vickie goes, "It's my friend Connie's birthday. It's her birthday. Embarrass her." Connie's going, "No." So we went up and we sang happy birthday to her and stuff. And I noticed Vickie kind of standing over by the edge of the dance floor, and she came walking up kind of nonchalantly, and she puts a business card in our tip jar, which I found later was when she was worked for FHP and had a little handwritten note to call me sometime. So anyway, we started dating. And after a few months, I was on my way home from work. I was actually coming back from Morton Thiokol, way up there. And no, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I did fix computers for guys who were rocket scientists. But I was coming right by past Bountiful, where the big oil fields are there. Quick side little memory here. My daughter Corey used to think that that was the Olympic torch, where the big smokestack where the flame was going and stuff. I always loved that, Corey. That was great. But anyway, right as I was passing there, I was driving along, and I realized I had been thinking about Vickie all day long. And I'm still driving, and all of a sudden it struck me, it was one of those V8 moments. I love this girl. So I couldn't wait to get home, get back to her house and tell her that I loved her. She was still at work, but I checked my watch, knew she'd be coming home in the next 10 or 15 minutes. I went around behind her house there, climbed up, got up on the roof, and sat on the roof and waited for her to pull in. She pulls in, and she had a nice little red sports car, beautiful little Firebird, I think it was. But she gets out of there. I stand up on the roof and I go, "I love this girl!" And she's going, her eyes got about this big, and she goes, "What are you doing? Get down off of there before the neighbors hear you." I said, "I got a shout from the rooftops. I love you." A couple of the neighbors actually were out there working on their yards, and they stopped and looked over, and a couple of them were clapping and stuff. And Vickie was just mortified and stuff. But it was a wonderful time. And the next day, that was Friday. The next day, I said, let's go for driving somewhere. And I said, "Where do you want to go?" And she goes, "I don't know." And she says, I remember you telling me you played out at a place called Copperton. I've never been there, but I've heard about that. Let's go out in that area." So it's way down past Kennecott and stuff. But while we were driving out there, we drove by a farm, and there were llamas inside in the corral thing there and stuff. So we parked, and we're standing there, and I'm trying to get one of these llamas. I'm going, what kind of sounds do llamas make? How can I call them llama over here? "Hey, come on over here, and stuff." And she goes, "I don't think he likes you." I says, "Why don't you try it?" She says, "Like this." And she walked over by the fence, and she kind of went, she blew a kiss. And this llama comes walking right up to her. And I'm going, "My gosh, I think he knows you." She says, "Of course he knows." He knows me. I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Haven't I introduced you? This is Fernando." Fernando Llama, that's right. Anyway, we laughed about that. We drove around a little further, and we found an old building that had been demolished, and all that was left was a couple of cement walls. And a bunch of the teenagers, or whoever does tagging, back in the, probably teenagers, but had written all kinds of things on these walls and everything. And I says, "Hey, we need to sign this or something. You got something I can write with?" She goes, "I got lipstick." So she took her lipstick out, and I drew a big heart. And then I says, "Here, your turn." So she wrote our initials in there. And then I drew the arrow. So we got this big heart there and stuff. And we looked at that, took a picture or two of it. And then fast forward 5 years, we were talking about how long we'd been together and stuff. And we decided that, let's go down and cruise the same thing. Maybe that we'll run into Fernando and stuff, which we didn't see. But we did find this cement building, the remains of it. Now this is the interesting part. 5 years had gone by. I was sure that the lipstick would have been gone, and it was. But there must have been a chemical in the lipstick that actually etched its way into the cement. And the cement, it literally still had the heart with our initials and the arrow, but it wasn't red anymore. It was just eaten into the cement. So, I don't know, ladies, watch out with that lipstick. You never know what chemicals are in there. Anyway, it was a wonderful time. We got to go on our honeymoon to Hawaii, courtesy of my kids, and we traveled around a lot, got to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She knew more about football than any guy I've ever met. In fact, she told me about, she used to go down and watch the games, the football games, and she'd get in heated arguments with guys over what was going on. You need to should have put this person in and this person, and I had more than one guy come up and say, was she ever a football coach or something? I went, no, but she just really loves the Raiders. And of course, this was the Oakland Raiders. She wasn't real happy about them moving to Las Vegas. I thought it was a great thing. You can go to Las Vegas, do all the things there, and go and see a football game. That was before I realized it cost you like $800 for the cheap seats at the Allegiant Stadium. But we did actually go and see them a couple of times in Oakland and everything, and it was a wonderful time. We went on some cruises, saw some really nice beaches, and we were visiting her sister Cindy, who couldn't be here tonight. She sent this nice bouquet of flowers and stuff. She lives in Northern California. But I decided, at the point I decided I was going to marry her, I knew I wanted to propose somewhere exotic or something. Well, I didn't really think there was a lot of locales in Salt Lake area, so I decided to just hold off because I knew we'd planned this trip to go to California for the summer. So I had a ring, and I resisted the urge. I've always been one of those guys that have a hard time keeping secrets about Christmas presents and rings. My little sister and I, when we were little, actually snuck out when we were little kids and opened up the presents and then rewrapped them and stuck them under the tree. And next year, my dad had actually bought this cardboard wall that looks like a brick wall, pieces of cardboard, and he put it in the doorway of the front room. And I was prepared to go out there and open all the presents, see what everybody was going to get. And here's this brick wall. It was made out of cardboard, but still, I kind of got the idea. They knew that I had done that. So I don't know if you remember that, Karen. You were real little. But oh my gosh. But anyway, so we went to California to visit her sister, and we were driving along the coastline there, and we came to an area called Half Moon Bay. And she goes, wow, this is beautiful. I says, you really like this? She says, I love this. There's this rock thing here, and off in the distance there was a lighthouse way down there, and the beach and stuff. And so I was sitting there looking at that, and I had this ring in my pocket. And so I went, okay, well, maybe this is a good spot for this. So I got down on my knees, and all of a sudden her eyes got this big. It was like, what's going on here? And I proposed to her, told her how I've been in love with her for so long and stuff like that, and asked her to marry me, and she said yes, and it was just a wonderful time. And I have so many great memories with that woman. She's just absolutely been wonderful, and she'll really be missed. And pretty much everybody I think that has ever met her would agree what a wonderful person she was and stuff. And it's a real tribute to her that so many of you come out tonight, and I hope some of you will come up here and share some memories of that. And so I'm going to walk away from the microphone here and invite anybody who might want to come up and speak a little bit.
being in church. We're hoping we can leave early so he gets up. So I'm Misty. I'm Preston's youngest daughter, not the one who thought the Olympic tour. Just wanted to clear that up. When I first met Vickie, it was in the early 2000s, and I couldn't figure out why they wouldn't get married. I'm such a sucker for love. And I think they were together about 15 years before they got married. And my dad came to me and told me he was gonna get married to Vickie finally, and he told me it was gonna be on April 1st, April Fool's Day, so I thought he was messing with me. And I was so excited when they got married, and we were able to go to Hawaii. And that was the first time when I really got to speak with Vickie and talk with her. And she seems like kind of an introvert. I'm kind of an extrovert, just a little bit. And so I just sat there and asked her all the questions and talked to her, and it was my favorite because she couldn't leave. She just had to kind of be with me and let me talk, and it was great. She was always so nice about it. But I remember asking her if she was going to take the last name of Kofoed, and she said yes. And I was so excited, and I told her, did you know that Kofoed girls are the prettiest and smartest, and they're the best? And she said, oh, I know that. That's why I'm finally marrying your dad. And it was so funny because it was so unexpected for her to say that. And then she'd do the wink, where she's like, because I'm a Kofoed now, and she'd wink, and it was so cute. I loved her winks. But she was so amazing, and I actually went to visit her and my dad in March, just a couple months ago, and I like to take a lot of pictures. I'm always taking pictures, and she always hated getting her picture taken, so I try to do it when she wasn't looking, when she wasn't watching. And when the last time I went and saw my dad, I took a picture of him and I. Well, in March, I took a picture of both of us, and I went over to Vickie, and she looked a little scared, and I said, Vickie, I'm not gonna take a picture of you. That's my gift to you. And I knew it was the last time I was gonna see her, and it kind of made me a little bit sad because I had wanted to do a picture of just her and I, but I just said to her, I won't take a picture. I know you're scared I'm going to, and there's nothing you can do when I just sit down next to you and take it. But she really appreciated that. And I was able to talk to her and tell her, and I just told her everything. I said, thank you so much for loving my dad and being with him for these last 25 years, because we feel the same way. When my dad met Vickie, we were so happy that he was gonna have somebody to grow old with. Didn't make it, sorry. But we were really happy that she was in our family, and she was always so sweet and so kind and so good to us. And we just really love her, and I know that she's wherever she is, and she's happy not being in pain anymore. But Dad, this is such a great funeral, wake, whatever you want to call it. This is my favorite one ever, and I think because of the music, it makes me so happy. So I just want to let you guys know that the Kofoed family does love all of you, and thank you for everyone who came to support my dad and Vickie and her family. We love you guys.
Just as my mom said, my grandma was always the cool mom or the cool grandma, and I have a lot of sweet memories of her. Ones that stick out are going on shopping sprees, and last summer when we saw the Foo Fighters, Preston and Vickie were the biggest rockers there. One memory stands out, more of a story. Growing up, I heard that when she was growing up, she loved the name Rose. She would pretend it was hers in her make-believe world, or her stories, or her imaginary friends, and even went as far as asking people to call her that. My name is Caitlin Rose, and I can't help but feel connected to her in that way. I wrote a little bit. I want to read it, if that's okay. I feel a piece of her with me, and I can feel her warmth, her compassion, her strength, and her free-spiritedness, and all her love. I think that daughters and mothers and grandmothers are reflective of one another, and I feel so incredibly lucky to carry a reflection of my wonderful grandma. I'm going to miss her so much, but I know that I'll feel her love, and I get to carry a piece of her with me. Thanks.
was the very best person to sit with at gigs whenever Grady and Press and Johnny and all the other people, Brett and so many others play, Doug. And she was always so full of life. That was the thing I remember most about her, just full of life and fun. And she and Press had such a wonderful love story. I loved hearing his stories. Press, you've got to write a book. You have so many great stories. But I love Vickie. About a year ago, it was less than a year ago, was the last time I really saw her. But about a month ago, Press told me she was really not doing very well, so I would send her a little text every morning. And I thought of her all day long for a month, and just, I know it was a really hard time. But I love Vickie, and I love Press, and I'm so glad I got to know her and sit with her and share many Happy New Years and other gigs that were just so fun. They're wonderful musicians, these guys are, and it's a privilege to have heard them many times in the past. So that's all I wanted to say.
Just thought of another experience I want to tell you. So you could, if somebody still wants to come up after I finish here, feel free. But my kids would tell you that I've always loved musicals and music. And I was always singing around the house. If my kids were not up getting ready to go to school, I would go in their room and start singing to them. In fact, Misty, I remember I was singing to her one time. She goes, "Go sing to Corey first." She wanted to sleep some more and everything. Well, it's kind of carried over. When I married Vickie, I would wake up with a song in my heart, and I'd launch into a song. It might be something like Oklahoma, where the and stuff, that, or something from West Side Story. Well, as much as I like musicals and stuff, she hated musicals, but she loved the Godfather movie series, Dirty Harry, all that kind of stuff. So when I would go to sing a song to her, she would come up with a quote from one of a movie like, "You keep singing that, and I'll make you an offer you can't refuse." And of course, in my mind, that sounds interesting. She goes, "No, not that kind of offer. More like this offer." So I'd go to sing something else the next day, and she'd go, "Listen, punk, do you feel lucky?" And I'm going, "Hey, yeah, I feel lucky." She goes, "No, not that kind of lucky." But she was wonderful. As much outgoing as I am and like to be in the spotlight and all that kind of stuff, she shunned the spotlight. When we were first married, first 10 years, she would come to see us play a lot and stuff. And I would dedicate songs to her, and no, please don't dedicate songs. In the beginning, I'd have her stand up, and that was worse. She'd stand there and go, "Oh my gosh, why are you doing this to me?" and stuff. So it took me a while, but I realized that she says, "Look, not everybody is meant to be the center of attention. Not everybody is meant to be on stage and singing and dancing and be in bands. You need people out in the audience," and that's what I am. I'm an audience person who likes to listen. I'll support your music and your band, but don't put me on a pedestal and don't call attention to the fact that I'm there. So I kind of calmed that down in recent years and stuff, but when you're with a woman as wonderful as Vickie is, you want to stand, you want to get up on the rooftops and shout it. I love, I mean, I really did that. That's a true story. And I'd do it again, over and over again, because it was just a wonderful moment. And I don't know if that's just me, but I'm guessing that a lot of you folks out here can remember the moment that you realized you were in love with someone, or somebody, the moment that they told you they were in love with you. It's one of those great moments in life, and it's just been wonderful. So anyway, I'm going to go sit down here for a minute. Wait a couple of minutes, see if anybody else wants to come up, and if not, the band will do one more song, and then after that we're going to have our closing prayer by my son-in-law, Reagan Weinecker. My youngest son, Jake, told me years ago, I was talking about something and I was going off on all these different tangents. And he said, "Dad, you're branching." And I had never heard that before. And I went, "What is branching?" He said, "It's like you're at the top of the tree and you want to get down to the ground. Most people would just climb down the trunk of the tree and be on the ground. You, however, Dad, you want to go out on every limb and touch every leaf on the tree. So you take a long time working your way down." So that's what branching is. And I've always done that. But getting back to what I was going to say with regard to Vickie's love for the Godfather movies and everything, I bought her the box set. We watched over and over all the different Godfather things and the making of it and all this everything Godfather we were doing. Well, one day I was perusing, looking on the internet, and I found a place called Hollywood Props for sale. And I called up and I asked him, I says, "Hey, I saw a thing here. I want to know, are these just copies of things?" And he goes, "No, we sell actual props from movies." He says, "We give you a certificate of authenticity and everything else." And I went, "Wow, do you have any stuff from The Godfather?" He says, "Yeah, we've got quite a few things." And he started naming some of the items from The Godfather. And most of these things were in the thousands of dollars. And I love Vickie, but I just didn't want to put out $1,000 for it and everything. I says, "Can you tell me kind of what's on the lower end of things?" He says, "Well, do you remember the scene where it was at the Godfather's daughter's wedding, and he was in the house, and people would come there and ask him for favors because you can't refuse somebody a favor on your birthday, on your daughter's wedding day and stuff." He says, "Well, there was this guy that came in, and he's talking to the Godfather and stuff, and the camera's looking over his shoulder at the desk that the Godfather's at, and there was an envelope there." And he says, "You can buy that envelope for a lot cheaper than $1,000. So I went, "Okay, how much is it?" And he told me, and I went, "Okay, and I want to get that. And this comes with a certificate of authenticity." And he says, "Absolutely." So somewhere on one of these tables, you'll see a letter with a stamp, and it says the address is to Vito Corleone, and has the address there and stuff, but you can actually see that exact letter on the actual movie. So next time you watch The Godfather, check that out and maybe think about Vickie there. She really loved that I did that. She thought, "You spent a lot of money for this," but I appreciate the thought. And she loves stuffed animals as well. I only brought a couple of them, but at one time I had about 20 different stuffed animals. I mean, little grasshoppers with green sneakers and stuff and all these different things. In fact, one day I decided I was going to recreate the scene from E.T. So I got all her stuffed animals there, and I got behind them and stuck my face on them with all these different animals and waited for her to come into the room. She comes in, press, and then she saw me and burst out laughing. And she goes, You're definitely an entertainer." But anyway, so if anybody, I'll just sit out for 30 seconds more. If I see anybody getting up that wants to talk, great. If not, we'll play that last song and close things out here. My granddaughter Maddie.
Hello, I'm one of the grandchildren of the wonderful man right there. I was a wee bab when Vickie was introduced into our family. My siblings were not old enough to perceive anything, and I was probably like 4 or 5, I don't know, when Vickie was introduced. And I was just like, "Okay, there's another lady coming to our house to give us presents. Cool, that's awesome." So I have very fond memories of just being Christmas time. You know, everyone does the Christmas. All the Kofoeds get together that. And then Vickie would come in and she's like, "Hey, Maddie." I'm like, "Hey, what?" She's like, "I got a new computer game for you." And I'm like, "Oh!" So every year it was like looking forward to Vickie's computer games because she gets like the weird games no one's ever heard of before. They're probably like lost media right now, but really good memories of that. I also have a memory of being in 4th grade and learning the counties of Utah. And I had to do a report on Paiute. I always called it Paiute, but she was like, no, it's Paiute, Paiute. And then Preston, as we were leaving after I was talking about this project, he's like, oh, I have a great song about all the counties. I can't remember that song, I can't sing it to you, but it always, whenever, because I live in St. George, so I'm by that Paiute area or
I'm going to sing it when you're done.
He's going to sing it when we're done. But every time I drive around the Paiute Reservation, I always think of that song that he's about to sing. But it was great because it's like, oh, you know, step parents. Oh, you get 2 Christmases. Well, I got step grandparents. I get like 1 billion Christmases and 1 billion all the love for that. So I loved her a lot, even though I didn't get to see her a lot. But every time I saw her, she was always kind. And that's the best thing you could ask out of like anyone that you meet. Just kindness, unconditional. Anything that you are and whatever you are. She was just like, yeah, you're cool. And I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. You're cool too. So, yeah. Anyway, here's the Counties of Utah by Preston Kofoed.
I realized years ago a great way to memorize anything that you're trying to memorize is to put it to song. And so when I was in 4th grade trying to memorize all the counties in Utah, there's 27 of them, by the way, I came up with this. Beaver, Carvin, Davis, Morgan, Daggett, Millard, and Duchesne, Uinta, Richmond, Summit, Garfield, Cache, Paiute, and Kane, Wasatch, Washington, and Weaver, Stampede, San Juan, Salt Lake, and Wayne, Durant, Box Elder, Grand, Two Will, Spirit, Emory, Utah, Train. Now, I did not write that, but I learned that somewhere, and I've always remembered that, so sometimes I forget things. One more quick story. I promise this will be the last one. But I was always losing my glasses, and I'm still always losing my glasses. I probably got 10, 15 pair of glasses. So I buy a lot of them. I keep them everywhere. A couple in my car, in my guitar case, everywhere, because I'm always setting them down and forgetting where they're at. Well, Vickie bought me one of these straps that you hook on your glasses so it can hold them on. So it was nice to not be in the middle of playing my bass and have my glasses be like this. And I'm trying to get so she got me this thing that hooks on, but you could actually loosen the strap down, and then your glasses would be down like this. Well, one day I am wandering around the house, cannot find my glasses. This is before I bought all the 15 extra pairs, but I can't find my glasses anywhere. And I go in and I say, have you seen my glasses? And she kind of snickers a little bit. She goes, I'm sure you'll find them. So I'm going around looking, and she says, did you look on the counter? No. Did you check in the bathroom? Yeah, but no, they're not there and everything. She says, maybe they're by the couch. So I'm standing there, and I look at the couch, and she's standing in the doorway there. She goes, maybe they fell down under the couch. And so I leaned over like this, and here comes my glasses. And I go, found them. Anyway, okay. Well, if anybody else would like to come up and speak, raise your hand. If not, I'm going to get the guys from the band up here, and we'll do our closing song. All right, come on up, guys.
No hat today. Hats off. Tips are inappropriate anyway.
This is why you don't see a lot of rock and rollers wearing ties. They always get down here and get caught in your way and stuff. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Something in the way she moves drives me like no other lover. Something in the way she moves me asking me, will my love grow? I don't know, I don't know. Stick around now, it may show. I don't know, I don't know. Some things she knows, and all I have to do is think of her. Some things she shows me. I don't want to leave her now. You know I believe in how. Oh, thank you so much for being here, everybody. We're going to close things with my son-in-law, Reagan Leiniger, is going to give a closing prayer here.
Yeah, let us pray. Our dearest Father in heaven, as we pray before thee, at the end of this gathering for the celebration of Vickie Lee Edwards Kofoed, which if you think about it, is a pretty cool name to go through life with. As you whisk her away to what you have planned for her next, please let her know that we love and will miss her desperately. Please be with her family and the ones she loves so dearly. And in the hard days and nights to come, and they will come, that your spirit and her spirit can assuage their anguish and sorrow and carry them forward to continue writing her book and her story until we can once again join together and catch up on all our stories and all the things that we have yet to write because of Vickie. We are grateful for this chance to be together. We are grateful for her life. And we ask these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, everybody, so much for everything. Appreciate you being here.
I want another story. Just one more.
To quote Jimmy to Randy, I got a million of them. No, I think we